Greetings.
Hey.
Does anybody hear an echo when
Yes.
I speak?
Are you running a fan or something? Oh, yeah, I can.
My dryer.
Yeah, there is an echo.
There is.
There is
yeah.
an echo.
We
Okay.
were speaking before you got on, and there was no echo.
Yeah, I think it's you, Alan.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know it's me. I just don't know what I can do about it. I'll tell you what I can do about it is I cannot speak. When my microphone is on, the people on the other end are getting an echo, and I have no idea why that would be. It happens with any speakers that I use, even with headphones. So
Right now, the echoes. Well,
it's
I'm
you
hearing
that you're
echo when
hearing
I
your
talk.
echo.
I don't hear echo when you talk.
Right. So somehow you're all hearing an echo when I'm talking. No, when I'm not talking, when you're
Well,
talking.
you're not. It's just when we're talking.
Your microphone's picking up your speakers.
I'm going to mute myself. Harold, have you got it?
I'm not sure what you mean. Do I have it?
You're in charge. You guys can't listen to this echo. I've been trying for 3 days to get rid of it. If anybody has an idea, do let me know.
Yeah, I think your speakers are picking up your microphone's picking up your speakers and feeding it back. So you might need to be mindful of.
So you're hearing me echo then?
No. But when we're talking, your speakers are being picked up on your microphone and feeding back the feedback loop to us.
Alan, may I make a suggestion?
Yes.
If you mute yourself and use your space bar when you want to talk and just release it, that will mean that you get a problem.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I think that's a better alternative than having Harold in charge.
That is a matter of opinion, Harold.
I've
It's
never
like
been
when
in
I
charge
used
of
to
a
fly
meeting.
airplanes.
I've never been in charge of a meeting, and I don't know. Okay, we could just get started. It's 1 minute after 1. Do you see my crystals?
I
Yep.
do. Big blue one.
You do?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Man, I'm worn out. Okay, so you're seeing a big blue crystal.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll need to rehearse that. I already have rehearsed it with somebody to share. Okay, here we go. So this is ABE and ethyl alcohol. And Graham Carey might have access to ABE. It's a wart remover that's in primarily in Europe, but some of us have found a place that will sell it to the United States. So that's it, ABE and ethyl alcohol. So I do keep good notes. I think they're good notes on what I do. And then once I bring it up, I look back at the notes and I don't believe them. So this is supposed to be BALG, the beta-alanine and the L-glutamine.
Mhm.
And it just looks so different than anything I've seen before. It's hard for me to believe that.
What's your magnification, Harold?
I believe it's around 40 to 50.
Mm.
It's through a microscope that doesn't really, it's actually called a macroscope, I'm told. And it's not real clear, but I believe I'm 40 to 50.
Wow.
And then I get the circular image through the microscope. So then, there's quite a bit of cropping that goes on from that. And I'm using about a 60 megapixel camera to allow me to do that.
That
So
certainly looks like BALG to me.
That one does?
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh, okay. I normally try and get swirls with it. Okay, I just didn't want you guys calling me a liar. The next 1, 2, 3, 4 are all a sweetener and dextrose. And I think dextrose is just a sugar compound anyway. So you're mixing 2 sweeteners. I don't always like really, really bright colors, and I think it's good to have muted colors. So this was again dextrose and sweetener, and I just like the muted tones. I'm not sure I like the yellow and the purple in the bottom right, but once again, all of these are taken with a wave plate, and I've come to the decision that if you use a CD as a wave plate, you get really clown-like colors and very, very bright, and you can't really control anything or depend upon it. But if you use, I'm using a full wave plate, I find it'll bring out the blues and it'll bring out colors better. And I'm not doing documentation for, to identify the crystal. And so I'm just after nice art. And so this is more sweetener and dextrose. I'm not so happy that the bright yellow is right dead center in it. I might do another version and crop it off to the left more. But
Harold, you painting these the solution onto the slide?
no, none of these are melts. These are all liquids. And I drop the solution on top of one another. I'll put the sweetener down first and then drop the dextrose or vice versa. I do no mixing. I just dropping the liquid onto the slide and let it dry overnight, because I make about 30 at a time.
It's beautiful pictures.
That's my goal, just to get something that's frameable.
By the way, I don't think there's any shame in going into Photoshop, hit the hue saturation adjustment, and just manipulate your colors after the fact.
Certainly, I
total
do that as
furious.
well.
Yeah, as you say, that yellow you're concerned about, you could turn that into something else.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But the fact that it's a bright color right bullseye in the middle is what bothers me.
All right, well, you can mask it in and just
Yeah.
mute it in the middle and leave the sides still alone, whatever.
So this is one that is not done this past month. I don't know if you've seen this one before, but I think it's one of my better ones. I think that that's frameable. I'd call that one of my successes. But
Agreed.
I think that's the seventh one. I think that's broad acid, which is another European wart remover, and methyl ethyl chloride. And with this, I have finally come upon a good method, I believe, that I put down methyl ethyl chloride first, or whatever the solvent is. It could be ethanol or acetone. I put it down on the slide first to make sure my garage smell is permeated with it. And then I'll drop the broad acid on, and then I drop more of whatever solution I am doing, the alcohol acetone or MEK. And then it starts to dry, and I'll tilt it back and forth, and I keep dropping more and more solvent on the very thick and viscous broad acid or ABE, just to really thin it down. And I'm finding that works best. I think Julie's the one that she's also worked with the wart removers, and getting it thin to me is key to it.
Yeah, one method is I have these little glass vials. I put acetone in the vial. Well, I put the salicylic acid in first, and then I pour in acetone, and then shake the bottle up so it's dissolved. Let it set for a bit, and then put it on the slide and let it dry on the slide.
Okay, so I have two slides here that I'll talk, this one and the next one. By the way, I'm going to correct myself. That's a sweetener and dextrose. I'm just looking at my notes. That is not a wart remover. Sorry. The next two are. And while I like the colors in this one, that one, to me, they're dirty. They're just not pure colors. They're not a nice paint stroke. And there's too much clumpiness in it. If I don't know if we can zoom in here or not. That's zooming in for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It just the blues, the greens, the yellows, they're just dirty and full of spots. And this one, to prepare for this, I went through and used the spot remover and speckle and noise remover in Lightroom, and it helped, but it's not a cure-all to me.
This the wart remover?
Yes, this is broad acid and MEK for sure.
I will bet you anything you like that you're getting that clumping because you haven't got a good solution of the wart remover. I would do what Julie suggests and try dissolving it all the way in a significant volume of your solvent, and then drip or paint that onto the slide, because this looks like clumps.
So I'm dropping pure broad acid or whatever wart remover it is. I'm dropping pure. It's not contaminated with anything, but it is very viscous and difficult to work with. So dissolve it first.
Yeah.
The apparent blotches that you're seeing, I think, are the wart medicine in its vehicle that hasn't been put in solution. It's just sitting there as the clumps of. It's almost jelly-like when it comes out of the bottle.
Yeah.
I think you probably need to dissolve it in a larger volume of solute, and then paint it on or drip it onto the slide and let it dry.
So what I'm trying to do on the slide, I'll do it in a vial.
Yeah.
By the way, we just talked about contamination. I believe my chemicals, I've come to the conclusion they are contaminated now. So I've, someone on here, possibly Julie, I'm going to make everything have its own dropper bottle, dropper stopper inside, and so it'll never get contaminated. I'm using the dispenser, Alan, that you suggested at one time, like 25 microliters or something, and dropping that, and then I stick it into the next solution. So I couldn't help but get some contamination, I'm sure.
That's why you buy that box of 50 caps for the end.
Yeah. And I also will use the disposable pipettes, and when I draw like the salicylic acid on one, then I'll toss the pipette into a wash basin, and then I'll use a new pipette for the second solution, so I don't cross-contaminate my vials. And I just wash the pipette so they're not thrown away. And so after the setting up the slides, I wash out the pipettes so I'm not wasting them. And it's not as accurate as the microliter pipette dispenser. I have that too, but I find that like I said, using a new pipette for everything is just keeps the one solution not going into another.
Okay, so I don't think I should leave you with two pictures that I think are rejects.
Another comment I'd make, Harold, about the colors. A lot of the types of coloring you're seeing in those two slides are because of your wave plate.
You're correct.
It might be worth looking at maybe a quarter wave plate or no wave plate for some of those, and see if the colors are any purer.
Their colors are certainly less saturated. I'm not really trying to always go for color. Looking at this, you'd be surprised at that. But yes, you certainly get a lot less color without the wave plate. So I have been experimenting at that based on your prior discussions. But when you talk about wave plates, Alan, do you have like a full wave plate, or do you primarily use the plastic CD covers?
I have a full wave plate and a quarter wave plate and homemade wave plates of every material.
Wow.
I hardly ever use them because of I don't like the unnatural colors. It just doesn't appeal to me. And they're kind of artificial because of what they're doing to retard the movement of light through the birefringent substance. But it's a matter of taste is all it is. You just can't control where these greens and purples and yellows are going to show up. But you have an expensive wave plate, so you're probably getting more reproducible colors than I do.
And you can dial it down quite a bit. But I think this one's a keeper. I like it. You can see what I mean by within each color. It's clean. It's not muddied up with any other splotches. And this again is a sweetener and ascorbic acid. So
This argues in favor of the blotchiness on the other one being from the consistency. This looks fantastic.
So I believe I can stop sharing much easier than I can share. So, okay.
Yeah.
Harold, are these single shots or stacked images?
100% of them are all single shots.
Okay.
I've stacked a few times, but very, very few. Some of these were rejected. Some looked like snowflakes. And I thought that would be appropriate for the season and let Alan know what's coming his way. But the snowflake, it just wasn't deep enough. The focusing wasn't good. So I should have focus stacked that and I didn't.
All right, who wants to wow us next? Well, they were fantastic.
I'll go next, just to get it over with. These are for those that were, a couple of you that were at the meeting the other night. These are a repeat, but hopefully that won't be too disappointing. And
if you need help sharing, I'm here for you.
Let's see. All right, now let's go with. Oh, that's right. Hold on a second. Select first. All right, there we go. Okay, so this is. Oh shoot, sorry. Okay, this is Epsom salt and vodka. This was shot with a 2 to 5x macro zoom, but this is a pretty tight crop from that, so this is probably closer to a 20x equivalent. I don't know how all that translates, but I just like the patterns that I was getting in this, and so I decided to come in a lot tighter. And it's just fun. I like Epsom salt in general, but for playing with, but it just seemed like it gave me some interesting variations with the vodka. Let's see, this one. This is ascorbic acid in water, which is unlike anything else I've ever gotten in ascorbic. The background picture that I use for Zoom is a more typical example of what you get with ascorbic acid. But this was just on one end of the slide. I got this for really strange pattern. It was probably due to contaminants. I'm sure I'm anything but a purist when it comes to mixing stuff, but I just really liked it. I like that little clump down there in the middle that just sort of everything radiated out from. Bit of undissolved chemical, I'm assuming. Next one is benzoic acid and resorcinol. This is my mix for this meeting. The two of them melted together on a slide. I really like benzoic acid for the patterns. I just warn anybody that I ever tell them about this that be sure and use a respirator and be in a well ventilated space if you use it, because the fumes are just really, really harsh. But it does give you some really nice patterns. And the other thing I mentioned before was that we typically, when I use benzoic acid, I get these great patterns, but I also get lots of cracks through the patterns, just because as it cools, it tends to crack quite a bit. Using it with the resorcinol did not do that. The benzoic acid is the larger patterns, and I think the smaller stuff you're seeing along the top and top and bottom of the picture are from the resorcinol, but hard to say just how they interact. It was fun. This is citric acid melted, and I just got a kick out of this one pattern I saw on the slide. So this is cropped in a little bit from what I found on the slide. Kind of, it strikes me as some strange undersea creature that is just can't be. It's just too deep in the ocean to see So just fun. This is MSM melted or dissolved in soy sauce, and then left overnight. So that was kind of a fun pattern. And the yellows, kind of interesting. I like MSM a lot for this kind of thing. This is Rochelle salt dissolved in water, something I have played with in the past, but not quite a long time. So I dug that out of the bottom of my box and decided to play with it and got some nice shots. This was my favorite of the bunch. It's more chaotic than a lot of other things, but still nice colors, nice some interesting patterns in there. Probably do well to use a tighter lens on this. This is citric acid melted, just little clumps that some of these were kind of more scattered on the slide, and I just used Photoshop to bring them in a little closer. But I just like this kind of a weird, kind of cosmic asteroid pattern thing going on here. I particularly like that big triangular piece.
So as long as we've already talked about wave plates, do you use one or no?
None of what I'm showing today has a wave plate, and just use random bits of plastic that I've cut at different times, and I've been building up kind of a collection of things. I've used CD case, but I've also used other random bits of plastic that I've salvaged from the garbage. One of my favorites was taken from it was a lid from a takeout container. It was a clear plastic, and it gives me some nice patterns, but this is not.
Henry, that crystal in the middle is absolutely mind-blowing. How did you get those in it?
How did I what?
How did you get those bubbles in it?
Just there. It's a melt, so melts you'll often get little bubbles or other things.
This is
Just
a melt without a cover slip.
right. No, nothing. The last two pictures I'll be showing and I'll be coming to this in a minute, are the only ones that were covered. Most of these I don't.
And
Go
whether
ahead.
they're covered or not is just random for you. There's no methodology.
It depends on what I'm getting. If I'm not getting any, if I end up with really dense lumps that just aren't, I'm not getting anything from, but I know that I should be able to get some, then I will. And I don't use cover slips. I'll typically just sandwich with another slide.
Okay.
Cover slips tend to just slide all over the place for me for what the kind of stuff I'm doing. This one is Epsom salt in water, and I just like the pattern, particularly that bottom part that sort of has a weird cosmic spinal look to it, I think. And then these last two are mothballs that I had taken, I scraped them into powder, and then melted them. And these I definitely did sandwich with another slide, and I just got a kick out of all the little bits kind of flowing off of the larger piece. So it's mostly what I was getting was the center of the mothball was fairly dense, but the edges got some really interesting colors. And then this one, same kind of thing, has a sort of a dragon pattern to it, I guess. I don't know. It's all a matter of imagination and how late in the day it is. But same kind of thing. So just really fun patterns along the edges. This is something I've just started playing with this week, so I got lots to figure out. I have a friend who shared he'd seen some of my stuff, and told me he'd been doing them for a long time, but he liked using mothballs a lot, so I decided I'd better give that a try. Another chemical that if you melt it, you definitely want to use a respirator and have a lot of ventilation. Even after they've hardened, they stink. It's kind of the nature of it. It's the point
Henry,
of
could you show that first slide in the series?
Sure, just a sec.
Your black background plays well into your images.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I basically, straight out that one, straight out there's going to be a lot of debris and stuff, so I masked out all the
Right.
background. So just explaining my process. Is that the one, Al?
Second one, Henry. Sorry.
Okay. That one.
This one. This is what now? Ascorbic
Ascorbic acid in water, dissolved in water. left overnight.
This is one of my absolute favorite crystals because I get the same thing. I get these odd, angular, metallic looking things that all look like something, bicycles or crosses, or and the fibers that come off. I've got several pictures that I've used on cover art where these things kind of braid into a circle, and that's this chemical. If you let it just dry very, very slowly on its own, these filaments will braid or cross one another in a recurring pattern. Quite remarkable. I'll pull up a picture to show you, but this is very, very nice. I love this.
All right, thank you. And that's me.
Very impressive work, very creative. I've got lots of good ideas. I need to get some of that benzoic acid though. Who has got a crystal to show us?
I've got some.
Okay, Julie and then Graham, and then we'll go from there, and I'll show what I've been working on after that.
Okay, let me try the old share. And
I'm going to go let the dog back in so it will stop barking.
can you guys see a grid?
Yes,
Okay, all right.
we're seeing 3 crystals.
Yeah, that's what I selected for today. All right, so I don't know if you can see on my naming convention in Capture One, I could tell it to label everything. So like the first one I did with alum and Epsom salts, salicylic acid, and menthol. So I do that for the frames, so I know what I'm dealing with. But so this one is I forget what it was again. This is alum and Epsom salts dissolved in water, and nowhere else on that particular slide did it look like this. I just really like the way it just the way the crystals form. This is stacked and no wave plate and 10x objective, and did play a little bit with color saturation and separation, but I just like the way it had the fractures and I don't know, it's just different than any other area on that particular slide. And this one is salicylic acid and menthol. So and dilute and dissolved in acetone. So what I did is I made the salicylic acid vial and menthol vial, and then I just mixed them on the slide. I just drew up liquid from both and let it on the slide. And so the salicylic and menthol will both give you long, spiky crystals, which are kind of cool sometimes. And then the next one was this one is oxalic acid and glycine, and it has kind of more of the feathery fern-like look to it. And like I said, none of these did I use a wave plate on. So that's like I said, they're all at 10 power. So.
What is that strange helical pattern on the blue strands of crystal?
In here?
On the whole length of the crystal.
That is, I'm not sure, because this is chemical I don't use very often, is glycine. And
Salicylic acid, you said?
Pardon?
You say it was oxalic acid or calcium oxalate?
Yeah, oxalic acid and glycine. So, but I just all the whole slide turned into these fan areas of rods that were just blended together, but they all like generate great big fan shape. And but it was just looked kind of weird. And so the ones that so
Bismuth?
yeah, so no, this is lysine.
Hmm.
And just I don't, and then I put my own background on. I put a gradient behind it, but sometimes I like just the black and sometimes I don't. And see, this one is beta alanine just by itself. And again, I picked up the blue background. I just took the color from it within the crystal and I use that as the color for the background. And
It's the Mount Rushmore of crystal photography right there.
yeah, it just showed up that way. And I just kind of liked what the way I didn't fill the frame with it just to give an edge. That's my photo assistant. This is, I have no idea. I didn't label that one. And then this is copper sulfate. So this is copper sulfate, and I also I don't have them finished yet, but I went and bought a tub of powdered plant food at the home store, and that makes some interesting crystals. So that's what I've been playing with this week. But mostly what I've been working on is getting the beam splitter stabilized better. And one of the toys I made this week in silicone, I'm not sure if you could see it well, but it's a little cap that's designed to fit exactly over the front of an objective. So I could put a polarizer plate or a cover slip here and then just slide it over the end of the objective. And it, so I don't have to like glue the polarizer to the objective. So, and it'll, because it's silicone, it's grippy, but doesn't mar anything. I just made a mold out of an old objective, and so, and then with the opening, I could, like I said, I could put a polarizer film on there or a cover slip. So
Clever idea.
that was my tools for the week. And if you ever want to know, this is what it looks like inside an objective sleeve. I molded that too. It's it's even got the threads for the I don't know if I'll use it for anything, but it's so. But that's what I've been doing.
Very cool. Very interesting selection. Graham, what you got for us?
Oh dear. Can you see that?
Not yet. We do.
We see your desk.
Yes. Oh, so this is my microscope that I couldn't get working this week. Thought I had a problem with it. Nearly took it all apart. Got it working again. Couldn't get the focus maker working, and I had to make a spacer and all that sort of thing. Got it going day before yesterday. Had half an hour to make some pictures. Forgot what the chemicals were, but so I apologise. So, but at least I'm up and running now. I just chucked some chemicals on. I've only worked on 3. I can't remember what they are, but these are all focus stacked. I focus stack everything usually, and then select whether or not I'm going to use some or any of them. The chemicals were BALG, soy sauce, a little bit of Abe, and some glycine. The soy sauce was rancid. So that's one. Another.
Tell us about the red background.
That's well, I've got a little tip for you all about wave plates. I like everyone else. I've got quarter and full wave plates, but my favourite now is mica sheets of mica. And the interesting thing about mica sheets is they work on their own, but if you tilt them, you can get a I don't know what happens, whether it tightens the gaps up a bit, but you can get universal colouring or more universal colouring rather than the sort of psychedelic patterns you get for CD cases, which I've used in the past. So mica is now one of my favourites. I do recommend, though it's quite expensive, to do that. And there was that one. I'm not sure which that one was.
Well,
Yeah.
FYI, I have also used mica and
Yeah.
gotten a bag of it from Amazon for like under $20, and they don't quite cover I'm using my own version of Allen's jig for
Yeah.
crystals, but so it's 100 millimeter. But I've got one of mine covers probably 90% of that, and
Yeah.
it's great. Yeah, you get some really interesting colors from it.
So these haven't been worked on, but there's one of those. But that's literally not worked on yet. Well, this sort of thing. And I think this is one of these is soy sauce. I think that one is. Yeah. But that's my recommendation, mica. And I haven't worked on that one either. But anyway, I will be more. I'll do better, and I apologise that my homework isn't up to standard. So
Good stuff.
yeah.
Your sharing capabilities are very good, so it makes up for it.
Who else has anything to share? And you're going to hear an echo until I turn my microphone off again. Nobody else? I'll show a couple of pictures, but if you leave your if you don't say anything, I don't think you'll hear an echo. Is that right, Graham? You're not hearing me echo. Okay, all right, good. Because I can't use the space bar in the editor as well as for the sound. The first thing I wanted to do was show the crystals that, like Henry's ascorbic acid, the results that I got with the same thing. So let me share my screen. These are quite random. I actually looked into, hang on, what did I share? Yeah, Lightroom. Yeah, I think it is.
Yep.
All right, so these are just the kind of objects that I found in multiple images, and they're very compelling shapes, very interesting. I've got hundreds of these, and this is pretty high magnification, but at lower magnification, I thought they'd make excellent wallpaper, actually, for kids. They had so many intriguing shapes in them. But yeah, can't find the good ones. Oh, these are the ones that, hang on, bear with me. I've got so many of them. There's a set of them. Yeah, these ones are the ones I liked, where I was also using a couple of other chemicals in with it and forming these islands that had the shapes in them. There you go, this kind of thing. They look pretty intriguing, but the colored ones were better. I think I've wandered into it. Ah, here they are. This is the ones that look like you're looking at something. They all look like bathtubs or church steeples or aeroplanes. I thought a kid with attention deficit disorder had this on as their wallpaper, they'd do great. They would never leave the bedroom. They'd just be staring at it. But Anyway, some of them worked out better than others, and I can't find them right now. But anyway, yeah. What I was going to show you was I've been really getting into videoing the interactions of chemicals as crystals are forming, and these are the ones I meant to show you right here. And I've gathered a lot of footage, and as I was putting some of it together for this and started editing the piece, it occurred to me that it would actually make a good longer format piece of content. So I'm not finished with it. I haven't even put a soundtrack to it yet, but I thought I would show you what the process looked like if anybody's interested. If you're not interested, I won't waste your time with it. But if you are, I can show you approximately what it's like, and I can certainly help you guys if you want to do this yourself. I'm gonna assume that unless anybody raises their hand and waves, that you don't want to hear about how you do this. Is that about right?
Sure.
There you go. So all I did was I take clips. I use one or the other of the microscopes, and I'll take a video clip whenever I observe something happening, and then I'll import all those video clips into Premiere Pro in this case. And because this is a non-linear editor, I can move pieces into any order I want in the timeline, which is down here. And I can put the pieces together in any way that makes sense to me, and put transitions between them, put a soundtrack to them as well, to make for something artistic, hopefully, in the end. Now, this is a long way from being there, but this is the footage I put together in the last hour. That's nowhere near finished, but I'm just going to let this run. There's no sound to it. In fact, I can probably make this a little bit bigger so that you can actually see it. Not much to it. It's just to hopefully give anybody who's interested at all in video an idea about what you can do with this stuff. I started out with some footage of crystals of dissolving and then reforming as I added a solute to the edge of the slide, and I'm probably going to cut that out because it's not in focus. But
Is this real time?
Yes, this is real time. I'll tell you when I've sped it up or slowed it down, and some of the time you do have to do that. Some crystals form very fast, some extremely slowly. This is real time. See the crystals melt, and then a new morphology grows back. This is real time as well. This is one of my absolute favorites. It's tartaric acid mixed with salicylic acid in alcohol. It's one of the faster crystallizing compounds. Now I'm going to speed this section up eventually because it's pretty boring. It happens quite slowly. Sometimes you have to figure out what the best balance is, and if you're planning on having the action pick up as you go through the video, then if your music's going to pick up tempo or something, then it's okay to have some slower bits at the beginning. What I love about this is the form of the crystals completely change as you get out into the solution, and you start with the salicylic acid, and then the tartaric acid takes over as you get into the where there's less and less solvent present. That's all got to be warp edited to smooth it out. But so that's the salicylic acid on the right, and the other acid on the left. That's pretty boring. I'll cut that out for sure. The best thing to do, I find, is to just put stuff together and see what works in the final cut. I'll put a whole bunch of stuff together and then remove large parts of it until I get something that looks fairly interesting. So there's a lot of footage that ultimately will be cut out. The light colored dot that looks like a ball of haze that's very hard to get rid of is actually an LED. I'm not getting complete extinction with my cross polarizers, and that's the LED a fluorescent material showing through. It's a real pain, and I have to double check that I'm not over an LED when I record. This is real time as well, Graham. This is heavily salicylic acid solution. It's has very little tartaric acid in it, and the haze that you're now seeing on the leading edge, this is interestingly vapor that condenses on the upper polarizer because of the warmth of the LED. I'm trying to figure out how to prevent that. I think it just needs a bit more space, but you can see it ruins the image completely. If you're using a cross polarizer that's modeled on the one I made, I think there's not enough space between the analyzer and the specimen. It just gets warm, and you get these patches of fog forming on the upper plastic. None of this is very colorful, but I'm not as big into color as I am into what's going on chemically with the various compounds and how they melt and recrystallize. So the colors are kind of incidental to me. But the overall shapes these things form are fascinating. They seem to limit themselves and form balls and clusters. And then you get, this is a contaminant. I don't know what it is or how it got in there, but it's got some incredible strange patterns on its surface. Looks very organic. But there was a bit of it throughout. Those crystals are actually growing just very, very slowly. I just left them at normal speed, and then I sped the next cut up. The best footage, unfortunately, is not in here yet. It's these are just the early slides, but I'll show you a couple of the others. All right, I don't know why that's lagging. I'll prepare slides and I'll have compounds ready to mix. I'll mix them while they're under the microscope and while I'm recording. And based on how they behave, I'll know next time how to time the filming of them. But it's just a matter of keeping the camera running basically all of the time until something interesting happens. I think I turned it off. I did by mistake. So this cuts to a slightly more interesting part. Yeah, I love these these complex crystals as they dissolve in solvent and pieces float away, and the whole thing just changes shape and begins to recrystallize. That's my favorite part. But you can also see the currents that the various gradients set up, the concentration gradients, and the crystals form along those lines. It seems very haphazard, but it's not haphazard at all, I don't think. They're forming where the gradients lead them. And some of them just look like creepy hairs growing really fast. I think that's pretty much the end of what I put together. And obviously, this has got a lot of editing that needs to be done. It'd probably take a few hours to come up with an interesting clip. But yeah, if you don't use a nonlinear editor, this is a great one, Premiere Pro. There are others available, but this one is very versatile. I'm trying to find an interesting clip to show you. Let me see if that's interesting. Probably not. No, it's got sound on it, so we'll just drop that in here. You can do so many different things with these clips. You can make them, stretch them out, compress them, colorize them, zoom and rotate and smooth the movement out, and do just about anything you can imagine with them. And all the time, yeah, that's why I wonder why I saved that particular clip, but something interesting must be getting ready to happen. Oh yeah, this is cool. This is when you add a solvent that only one of the chemicals is soluble in, you get this separation of parts, which is very interesting to watch. You get these voids form on the inside of your crystals, and parts just float away. It's quite interesting to watch. It's like the whole glue that holds them together falls apart. I do like that. Very, very cool. And eventually you can see these complex layer upon layer of color and shape and structure just melts away into nothing. And then while that's happening, in the corners of the frames, things come back to life and they're completely different. The whole morphology has changed. They're different colors, different shapes. It's fascinating to watch, because I don't usually use a plain solvent. I use a solution of chemicals to do these melts. I spend all day going round and round on the slides looking for other interesting things that are going on that will make a nice piece of video. Anyway, I don't think there's anything else in here that's particularly... Actually, I have no idea what's in here. All I know is that I shot it. Yeah, so anyway, anybody got any questions about this stuff? I mean, if there's ever any interest in learning how to edit the video, I'll be happy to put a video together. It is fun to do. Something must happen in this. Not much by the looks of it. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else worth looking at.
I'm certainly interested in doing a video, and I do mine in iMovie, which is not as sophisticated.
It's not, but it's still a very good program. There's a lot that you can do in that. Oh, I think this was interesting. Yeah, these crystals blink in and out of existence in a bizarre way. Let me make that a bit bigger so you can see it. Unfortunately, focus is something that you have to be very careful with, and some of these crystals have finite depths, and they are in a layer of liquid that's thicker than the depth of field, and you have to chase after focus sometimes. But I edit all of that out in the end. But this was a remarkable thing, watching this crystal form out of nothing along the edge of the fluid blob, and then immediately start to reabsorb again. I have no idea why. See all the crystals coming back into existence on the left-hand side as the liquid evaporates. New crystals form, and then they start glomming together and forming colored objects. Great fun, absolutely awesome. The problem is I can't stay in one place very long because there's too much other stuff to look at. So I'm always second guessing myself. See the crystals forming inside that caterpillar thing? Love that. They're just sheets of interlaced spines that form these mats. Now I'm just wandering off to find something else, I guess. Looks like a galaxy somewhere. I'm sure that whatever camera you're using, it has a movie button on it. You should shoot some footage of this stuff. See what you can capture.
Are you making that the assignment for next month?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I've done is I use LR time lapse and just take regular intervals of a crystal growing and then use LR time lapse to make it into a short video.
Absolutely. That's definitely one way to do it. The problem I have with using time lapse is some crystals form so quickly, if I don't have them under the microscope, I miss the whole process. They just spread across the slide.
Yeah, I do it with like water. You know, if I'm using water soluble crystals, then the LR time lapse works well. But if it's a acetone, it dries too fast.
Yeah.
And one thing I was going to experiment with is cutting some holes in the polarizer film because I had menthol on the slide and it kept melting from the light. And I'm just wondering if I ventilated the polarizer.
I bet it would make a difference. Another thing might be to just take one of those very low pressure fish tank pumps and just run a stream of warm air through the thing.
I was thinking about that, but I was afraid about the vibration.
Yeah. Well, if
know,
you had it on a long enough piece of rubber cable, rubber tubing, it probably wouldn't be an issue.
We're dealing with the echo again, Alan.
Yeah,
Julie, could you say what you were mentioning before of what Alan said was a good idea to?
Yeah, I was going to hole punch.
Before that, you're talking about time lapse, I think.
Oh yeah, there's a program called LR time lapse, where if you take photos at intervals, like if you're having a slow growing crystal, you just have the camera take images like every 10 seconds, 1 minute, whatever, and then use the program to spread them into a slow motion video. And
it does not tie into Photoshop or Lightroom. It's a standard.
Actually, it does, because LR time lapse, you bring the frames into the program and you set your keyframes and then send it to Lightroom. Lightroom will do kind of the color, the light adjustments, and then it brings it back in, and then it makes a MP4 out of it. I use it when I'm doing astro, like time lapse astro, as the sun setting. So you're going to have some changes in lighting. But if you're doing something where the lighting is constant, it's not so important to use Lightroom to color level your luminosity and reduce the flickering. But it's the free program's not too bad, but I think you're limited to 300 frames. And the professional one is unlimited. You know, you can put it out to 8K and such. And the other thing I do with it is sometimes if I'm doing a long stack, like 300 or 400 frames, I'll put the stacking frames into the program and make a time-lapse movie of the uh, going to the focus. It's kind of like a slow motion focus pull video, and that looks cool sometimes. So,
Okay, I'm looking it up here. So LR is not Lightroom.
well, it will be Lightroom, but it's level. It stands for something like light level transition. It's a German program, or it was made by somebody in Germany, and there's YouTube videos out on how to use it effectively. But it's
Okay, sounds good.
yeah, and you can also just bring the frames into Premiere Pro and have it do the time lapse. And if you're doing like focus stacking where your light source is fairly constant, you don't really have to do that leveling that LR time lapse will give you. So
Cool. Paul says something they want to discuss, ask, comment on, show.
It's a little bit difficult to get some participation in just slides. I think a movie will be quite a challenge. But I'm going to try it.
It's just a suggestion. If anybody wants to give it a bash and put some footage together, if you have no interest in it, don't. Just keep doing what you're doing and bring some pictures. That's the key thing, is bring some pictures when you come. And something we can learn from. I think Henry is the example that we should aspire to, coming with these beautiful organized pictures that he describes really nicely, because I'm going to make some of them. Wasn't very fair to Harold, was it, to say that? Sorry. Harold and Henry is what I meant to say. And Julie and Graham.
I was
Basically
surprised we
everybody
had.
but
I was surprised we had so much soy sauce.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
nobody
actually
wants to
had
eat it.
a soy sauce crystal. I don't know how it didn't make it into my 10 slides. But I think soy sauce, I've seen some beautiful results. I've not really achieved it, but I think soy sauce is a good one to experiment with. So if not a movie, then it's soy sauce, maybe. No rancid soy sauce, Graham.
I'm not
Yeah.
buying any more. I'm too tight.
yeah, gotta have to go to the Panda Express and get a soy sauce packet off the bar.
I
There
would
you go.
really like to at some point do is take a close look at what your setup is, how you're making your crystals, how you're setting up your camera, your microscope, whatever you're using. It would be great to look at everybody's setup, just with a couple of iPhone pictures or whatever. Does that sound more like homework, Al?
Well, we did that already. I showed mine, and maybe we could pass it around again because I'm not sure many other people showed much. Of course, Graham's ahead of the curve. He already showed us today.
As I recall, I was the one who suggested we all show our gear a couple of meetings ago, and then failed completely to participate in that. So I would be fine with that.
Yeah,
It's very informal. I just think that if we took a couple of pictures, and it's more about the workflow than anything else. You do melts. I don't do melts. I don't even have a clue what your workstation would look like to melt deadly poisonous chemicals. Well, slide and a lighter.
Well, there was a discussion on the Discord about kind of specialized hot plates for just for that kind of a purpose, for putting a melt on it. And so I bought one of those, and just been playing with that the last couple of weeks. And it's kind of interesting because you can set the exact temperature, and it's been interesting setting it up and down to see where the correct point is, because every chemical is different. And then when you're mixing chemicals, then you have to figure out, okay, this one's gonna melt very quickly, so then I just put in some, grains of the other one into the melt, that sort of thing.
I think it was
Yeah,
Paul
I
that
asked
told us about
ChatGPT
that.
for a
Like,
melt temperature chart, so I could start like the lower melting temperatures and then move up to the higher melting temperatures because it's doesn't cool down as accurately as it heats up, but it's
Yeah.
I
but
would
it does
suggest-
make
so I was just going to say, I would suggest you didn't do what I did yesterday and try and melt sulfur from the top of the hot air gun and blow it all over the bench.
No,
Most popular guy in the garage.
It does
Yeah,
work,
you may-
by the way, but you have to do it from underneath.
yeah, you have a tutorial on what not to do.
how
yeah, I
hot
can-
does a hot air gun get to? I mean, your standard plug in the wall one.
Hot enough if you get close to it. I mean, you've got a hot filament, so you can get pretty hot.
You know those, the dollar store, you can get these plastic trays that are they sort of quasi look like cut glass, except crap. And you take one of those heat guns with one of those, and you can flatten it very quickly. They get very hot.
Yeah, I use a heat gun to melt acrylic rods and acrylic sheets for weird things.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I was playing around with some different wave plate ideas. Came up with a few things.
yeah.
Yeah, you distort the plastic. That's when you get the really funky patterns.
The advantage of using a heat gun, if you do it from underneath, if you're melting something, as soon as it melts, you can take the heat away straight away. Things like sulfur will burn quite easily. So once it's melted, you can whip it away quickly. Whereas if you've got on a stand, it's quite easy to burn the chemical.
Yeah.
I found.
Yeah, what I do is I hold the slide on the heat plate with a pair of pliers, and as soon as it starts melting, I pull it off and put it on a sheet of ceramic tile. And so far, I haven't had any slides crack from the heat shock, but it does a rapid cool. And but if
idea.
you've already burned the chemical, it's too late.
Yeah, heat guns have pretty much replaced Bunsen burners in the chemistry lab.
Yeah, I use them with my resin as well because they always say use like a lighter or torch to burst the bubbles in a resin mold. But if you use a hot air gun, it's a little bit more controlled and not as you're not going to set anything on fire necessarily.
Does anybody do surface mount soldering?
I used to when I was in electronics in another life.
The whatchamacallit tool, the little handheld hot air blower. Do they get as hot as the big ones?
Yes, yeah. I mean, mine will go up to 450, I think, which is way
reflow
hot.
gun. That's what it is. I meant to say.
The surface mount torch is really useful because you control the speed of the wind as well as the heat.
Melts solder, so it's probably good for crystals.
Yeah.
You're muted.
Anybody got anything else? Paul, I think I might have overheard you giving a report on your leg before we started. You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm much improved. Good comments from my physical therapist, so hopefully I'll get to drive next week. And stand in front of my photo bench, which I haven't been doing in the last 4 or 5 weeks. So hopefully I'll have something to show off next time.
I don't even have a knee to blame on it. So
exactly,
no
excuses.
Well, we'll wrap up a few minutes early today, and we'll reconvene. Harold, yes, sir.
Just one observation that I have. going around the screen or room here, people have different ideas. That there's certain people use a lot of melts. Apparently, Henry does. I've never ever successfully used a melt. And then there's some other chemicals that we hear. And when Alan and I try and come up with some sort of a contest or a homework assignment, really all we're trying to do is, get some pictures in here. And if we could at some point just try one of these ideas over the next month that you have never done before, just try and expand the workflow that you have. And for me, that would be doing a melt. I've not successfully done a melt, where we talked about dissolving the wart remover in a solvent first. That would be a little bit of a different process. Alan has talked about putting two blobs and then stringing them together, but just trying something new, trying something different. And I think we could all learn about it. And if you do that, try and, tell us what the new process was that you utilized.
Couple of things. When we have these meetings, I just every time somebody says I put, this together with that and mixed it with the third thing, I write down every one of those because that's something for me to try later. And one other thing I mentioned is if you want to try a melt that's usually works almost every time and gives me great results is resorcinol. Comes in flakes, put it on a slide, heat it over whatever way you want to heat it. It has a fairly low melting point and you can get some really great crystals, and it's not one of the more toxic ones.
How do you spell that?
Resorcinol,
Yeah.
Resorcinol, I think is correct.
It's an alcohol.
Or it's a liquid?
It's
No,
a flake.
you said
As a
flake.
guy, I get it's in flakes.
Yeah. Do you
And you
have
get a little
Amazon?
bag on Amazon for fairly
Okay.
cheap.
Yeah, my Amazon cart's empty right now, so I got to do something about it.
That's right. Can't have that.
Another supposedly good acid for melting is kojic acid. It's a food additive, and I've had absolutely no luck melting it.
I just got a thing of that. And I have not had much luck with it, so I've something to try.
So if our assignment is to try something new, that would include Alan's video. I don't think it would include soy sauce, but a video or melting something new. Let's break
And
out
also-
of our
and
normal
also-
workflow.
And also your workstation.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
Sounds good.
that could be
Get
very helpful
creative.
to others.
We're here to share ideas and pick up cool ideas from other people. That's the fun of this. So bring something to show and take everything you want with you from other folks. So it'll be good. We'll all try something different this month, and we'll bring proof of it. And Harold will send out a reminder right before the next meeting so we don't forget.
Okay, and I did send out a reminder as we discussed. If anybody in this room did not get an email from me, that means I don't have a proper email. So maybe you could put it in the chat and I'll copy it down.
Do you publicize the chat, Alan? Does that go on the video?
No, the last time I edited out anything that had names in it, but I mean we're not gonna show names or faces. If you don't want to be heard or seen, don't turn on your camera or microphone, and we're not going to be sharing contact information on the video. So, for example, if somebody put contact information in the chat would not be included with the content. By the time we next meet, I am going to figure out what is going on with Zoom and the microphone, because I have no idea what I've done. I know it's frustrating.
It's all black magic.
Every bit of it. You guys have a great weekend. We have a foot of snow on the ground and another foot coming tomorrow. Okay, all. Catch you later. Have a great weekend.
Bye all.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.